Hello and welcome to the allotment tapes. Now in this episode we're going to explore the allotment in summer. Now it's third week in July. Some things have done very well, other things not quite so well. I thought we'd have a wander around and look at all the crops and just see what we can discover. Okay, so nice little crop of second early potatoes here. These went in at the end of March. The only thing I had to do was a little bit of frost protection. I was a bit worried about them getting frosted off, so I chucked some fleece over them for a couple of nights. Apart from that, they've had nothing really. Potatoes are coming out really clean. Probably the most important thing to notice here is the soil. It's like cake mix. It's great. And it's really rough clay, but I stuck in well composted horse manure, a barrel load to probably 2 square metres, and it's worked a treat. And the other thing that manure does in soil like this, it helps keep scab away, so the potatoes are really clean. And when you get those little brown marks all over them, that's scab. But lots of organic matter can cure that in a tick. So yeah, not bad though. Well, I've just finished digging the spuds and a little visitor's arrived. Little blackbird is collecting great mouthfuls of worms. A bit of a second harvest, I think. Hee hee. Now look at my poor old turnips. They look absolutely terrible. They've been really got at by the pigeons. You can probably hear them cooing around me right now. And they're just coming down and raiding the tops really. So I think I'm going to have to do a bit more bird protection here. Nibbled off, they look pretty terrible. I have tried these things. This is a bird scarer, maybe with a potato and some old bird feathers, but to be honest, it doesn't seem to be working. Well, the broad beans are doing all right anyway. Very straightforward crop to grow. This ground was heavily manured at the end of the winter. You can sow broad bean seeds in the autumn and then overwinter them as young plants, and it gives you a slightly earlier crop, but I'd never bother. I do them in the spring. They seem to catch up really quickly. Sown directly into the ground. Some people prime the seeds before they plant them, so they'll soak them in water overnight so the seeds are already charged with moisture and ready to go. Stick them in the ground, off they go. They don't seem to have too many pests. You might get a bit of black fly on them sometimes, but they generally seem to be okay. You get these wonderful big fat juicy pods full of seeds. These will be harvested about now. We'll get the seeds out and I'll freeze them and have them right through the winter, and they're great. You know, they freeze really easily. Great crop to grow, very simple and very satisfying. People also eat the tops of the plants, the bean tops. Just check them for fly, but they do make a nice greens, a bit of an alternative. Beans, I mean, you either love them or loathe them, but they're great, well worth a go. So this is a bit more like it. Parsnips are doing very well at the minute. This is a Tender and True, a variety from the Real Seed Company. I've done them for the last couple of years. They do really well on this ground. Don't do anything special. This was potato ground last year, so it got manured last year. Nothing this year. Just sown the parsnips directly into it at the beginning of April. I do just sprinkle a little bit of radish in each parsnip row. The parsnips are really slow to germinate, so the radish mark the row for you, and then you can get a crop of radish before the parsnips come up. They're that slow, but then it stops you from sort of weeding them off and hoeing them out while you're waiting for them to come up. And yeah, they're fine, they work really well. Lovely winter crop. I think there's nothing better than digging your own parsnip through the winter and sticking them on your Sunday table. Very good thing indeed. Now, although this looks like sweet corn, it's actually popcorn. A bit of an experiment this year. This is a variety called Class Gem. When it matures, the cobs have multicoloured seeds, and then when you dry it and use it, you have sort of multicoloured popcorn. Well, not tried it before, but thought I'd give it a whirl and see if it's any good. And if you watch the autumn episode, you can watch me harvesting it, and you never know, we might even have a go at popping it. Now, welcome to the onion bed. I must confess to being quite pleased with my onions this year. They've done very well. I planted them sets. It's been a year of rain and sunshine really, so they've never really dried out. They've always had plenty of heat and warmth, and they've just gone really well. At the minute they look completely battered because of the high winds we've had recently, but it's not going to stop them from swelling up and maturing. Soon enough, come August, the tops will start drying off. I'll lift them, maybe put them on an old pallet and let them dry out properly in situ. The only thing to really remember with onions is to keep them on the move. So I've put them on another part of the plot next year. They won't be coming back here for about 3 years, and that's predominantly to stop white rot. Now, white rot is it really affects the sort of collar of the onion where it's in contact with the soil, and they literally just, you can touch them and they will just fall away from the soil. It's really destructive, and once you've got it for quite a long time. It's quite a difficult soil-borne disease, so don't get it in the first place. Good rotation, and you should do very well. Now, I'm actually using exactly the right tool for this job. This is a little onion hoe, and I love it. It's great because it gets you right down amongst the crops, and you can do some really detailed hoeing with it. And of course, I'm actually hoeing my onions. So I love growing leeks. This year I'm having to go at some French varieties just for a bit of a change. Real Seed Company again. They seem to be doing really well now. I sowed them in a open seed bed, so prepared a fine tilth, sowed them outdoors. They germinated and romped away. They were really good. And then when they got to about 10-12 centimetres, I lifted them as bare root transplants, dibbed a hole, dropped them in, and away they went. And then the birds got them. I think a couple of pigeons came down and just nipped the top off the lot. Hence all the various bits of string and old CDs and things as a bit of a bird deterrent. But they bounce back now. Lots of water, lots of TLC has got them back on track again. They should do really well. Don't really have to do a lot more to them now. Just keep them weed free, keep them nice and wet, and they should put on some weight. And then I can harvest these right through until probably about February, March next year, which is fab. Now, it may not have slipped your notice, but I haven't been talking about cabbages at all, or any member of the brassica family apart from my turnips actually, and that's because they've all been consigned to the naughty cage here. I have terrible problems with cabbage white butterfly on these allotments, and so you can't really grow them at all unless you cover them with some sort of netting and keep them protected. So I'm going to take these nets off, and I'm going to do a whole episode about different types of brassicas. So Brussels sprouts, cauliflowers, cabbages, purple sprouting, you name it. We shall get passionate about brassicas. But for now, I'm afraid they're all under lock and key. See you next time.